So 1 hour session, on average, it went up 35%. So I told the doctor, I was like, well, it's a little disappointing. I would hope it increased like 100%. He just he leans in and he goes, Mark, there's athletes who would pay $1 million to get their heart rate variability up 5%.
Wow.
So the fact it went up 35 is huge and it's statistically significant.
This is the Live, Lead, Last podcast.
Hey friends, and welcome back to the Live, Lead, Last podcast. We're here to help you live with purpose, lead with integrity, and leave a legacy that lasts. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Are you feeling stuck in your leadership, maybe burnt out, misaligned, or just ready for a fresh start? That's exactly why I created the Live, Lead, Last 5-day leadership reset. It's a simple, practical path to realignment and renewed clarity. You can get instant access right now at liveleadlast.com/reset. Today's episode explores a topic that's rarely talked about in leadership circles, but deeply relevant: how innovative health tech and energy therapy can radically improve performance, focus, and resilience. We're joined by Mark Fox, an entrepreneur, scientist, and former Space Shuttle chief engineer who spent the last several decades inventing, creating, and solving complex problems. He's the mind behind Vibe, the world's only pocket-sized pulse electromagnetic field PEMF therapy device, a tool that's currently being used to help people and pets with anxiety, PTSD, sleep, pain, and more. So why does this matter for leaders? Because stress, trauma, and burnout don't just affect how we feel, they affect how we lead. And Mark's work sits at the intersection of science, healing, and innovation. From aerospace engineering to magnetic energy therapy, Mark brings an unconventional but deeply compelling perspective to what it means to thrive in today's high-pressure world. So let's get into it. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a few goes at it, some technical difficulties, and we finally got this together. So I'm excited about having this conversation. Mark, I understand that you have a pretty unique background. Can you tell us a little bit about what you used to do and what you're doing now?
I hung drywall was the first job I ever had. I just got out of college because nobody was hiring anybody. But then I went into the space program. I worked on the Space Shuttle program for 16, 17 years on the solid rocket boosters. Wow. I was a chief engineer on that. When I left there, I went to IMEGA, if you can remember old zip drives. And then I went and started doing the speaking circuit on creative thinking for businesses and stuff. Wrote a couple books on that. And then my wife goes, well, how many companies have you started in the last 10 years? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, go over there and count them. And it was like 12. So I've done a lot of different things. I've done music and art from DNA. I own part of a women's clothing company. What we're going to talk about today is the stuff I've been really concentrating on I've been studying for 27 years, but the last 5 or 6 years I've been doing that full time pretty much, which is magnetic energy therapy.
Right.
And there's a lot of different solutions to that, but the primary devices and stuff that I invented are PEMF devices. We have some other stuff coming out as well, but that's primarily it. And people go, what is that? It's magnetic therapy, and magnetic therapy has been around since Plato, right? Since 350 BC or something. But pulse electromagnetic fields were discovered to be a whole lot more therapeutic about 100 years ago. And so we can go down all kinds of rat holes and those things. But that's the main thing I'm working on is those products that are PEMF or light.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff too, but primarily PEMF.
So take us back and tell us what the transition was from space program to kind of the health industry space. Like, what was the thing that made you want to get into this new endeavor?
Like I said, I tried a bunch of different things. I tried 10 different things before I got to this, but it was like, what it was primarily my dog. And she's right here, 27 years ago, right? So she couldn't come up the stairs.
Okay.
She was crying one morning and we ended up taking her to the vet. She had severe arthritis in her spine. And so a friend who's a Dr. Oz Jackson, he's a veterinarian of mine. He wasn't my vet because he lives in another state, but he said, there's this machine that can actually reverse, arthritis in the spine like that. So I'm like, really? Because I'm kind of skeptical. What does it do? It's an energy therapy thing. I'm like, okay. So I kind of dove into it, not believing any of it, being skeptical, still am, but there's enough data out there to show that it works.
Okay.
And so not 100%, nothing does. I mean, drugs are only 60% effective, but we have a very, very high success rate. I saw what it could do for PTSD, which really, really made me angry because it was hidden in clinical environments. It wasn't, sometimes you have to drive 2 states away to go get to it. So I'm like, there's got to be a way to build an affordable, I was very naive, right? I said, it's got to be a way to build an affordable portable device that then costs $15,000. So that was the goal. Had a whole pile of ones over here that burned up and didn't work, and coils, and the design wasn't as easy as I thought, but we finally have the design and nailed it. But there's like 60 different protocols on there for all kinds of different things, but PTSD was the main one I originally focused on. I think, and I'm going to keep saying this until somebody calls me on it, I think I have the largest PTSD PEMF study in the world.
Oh, wow.
And so we've had it verified with third independent party doctors and stuff that they've looked at the data, and it's statistically significant. It's hard to believe this number, but the data's there. We have a 98% success rate with PTSD. So PTSD was the first reason I really got involved, because all the suicides that we have around PTSD and trauma, both military and civilians.
Right.
And so that was, to answer your question, that was the initial spark.
Okay. So you keep using the word PEMF, and just for the people who don't understand it, like myself, can you break that down, like what that actually means and how it works?
Yeah. So it's PEMF stands for pulse electromagnetic field, and it's not voodoo. The Earth puts it out all the time.
Okay.
It's called the Schumann frequency. So 7.83 hertz, 14.1, and 20.3. So there's 3 different bands, and you could pull up an app on your phone and look at them right now at about 0.4, 0.5 Gauss. You're engulfed in it, and the theory is probably nothing could live on this planet without it, because it puts energy into your body or into animals or into plants. On these devices, we've gotten more laser focused on which frequency does what, or frequency pairs do what. So that's kind of the specifics. Now, this is where I get in arguments with doctors all the time. Just had one last night. Okay. How does it actually work, and can you prove it? The answer is no. We have theories, just like nobody knows how aspirin works. They've never proven it. And this doctor fought with me last night. He goes, we know exactly how aspirin works. No, you don't. You have a theory, right? But you've never proven it, and you've never proven how most drugs work. So we don't know. But what we do know in this field is PEMF does 2 main things. The cells in your body have a voltage on, just like the car battery.
Okay.
When that voltage gets low, you get sick. And specifically, it's without voltage, the cell membrane can't get bad waste out and good minerals and good stuff in. So you need a good charge on your battery. It recharges your cells' batteries. That's been proven. Okay. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, I always kind of say it wrong, is the number 1 fuel that your cells use, ATP. And this has been shown on lots of clinical trials to increase ATP up to 500%. Okay. So those are the 2 things we do know is, 1, it's recharging cells' batteries, and it's giving your body more food for your cells so your body can do what it does best, which is heal itself.
Okay.
Now, there's a million other rat holes of what we think it's doing, but those are 2 of the simplest things at the highest level that pretty much everyone in this, industry will agree that's what it's doing.
Okay. So I hear a lot of biohackers talk about grounding in the morning, going out and walking on the ground. Is that similar to the same idea with the frequencies?
It's the opposite.
So
I got my feet on a grounding mat right now, which is grounding to the earth to pull all bad ions and stuff out of your body. So it's sucking bad stuff out of you.
Okay.
PEMF is putting good energy into you.
Okay.
And one thing to be careful, because we get asked this question 100 times a day. Does it put out EMF? Okay, we'll stop for a minute and think about what you asked. EMF is electromagnetic fields. Yes, it does. Okay, but this puts out a million times higher frequency.
Yeah, the iPhone,
right? Yeah, iPhone, your Wi-Fi, your TV, or any other electronics you got around you, Alexa, those type of things. Everyone kind of leans towards they're afraid of EMF. And the way I describe this is everyone's gone to a dentist and had a lead apron put on their chest. Okay, as far as frequency, that's 10 to the 12th power. Okay. That's why you have a lead, because there's that much energy. Wi-Fi's, your phone's a million. These devices, the therapeutic devices, are 1 to 1,000 hertz. Sounds like a lot. but it's actually 0 on a logarithmic scale, right?
Okay.
10 to 12 power for X-rays. This is 0. So there's a pulse electromagnetic field at very low frequencies is therapeutic. EMF potentially at higher frequencies can be that. I've never used this analogy, but it just popped in my head. It's like water, okay? You can't live without it. Small doses, you die without small doses. You get too much of it, you drown.
Okay.
Right? So maybe there's the analogy there is, and the other way I describe energy from frequencies is picture a surfer waiting for a wave. If a 1-foot wave comes every 10 minutes, it's not a lot of energy. If 20,000 100-foot waves come per second, that's an insane amount of energy, right?
Right. You're not surfing that.
Yeah. So it's very, very, very low energy. And not to get super deep dive into technical stuff because it's hard to prove, but it's almost like if the energy was too high, it would go through the cell. And we don't want it to do that. You want it to actually go through the interstitial fluid between the cells and massage the cell membrane back to the voltage to get it to work correctly. So maybe that was too deep there, but that's the highest level.
That's helpful. Some people really geek out on the technology side and so forth, but I think just having an understanding of how a device works. A lot of times we use tools and devices and we don't really understand the complete function of it, but we do trust the outcomes of it, right? And so just like the aspirin, we don't necessarily know how it works in our body, but we do trust that when we take an aspirin, it does away with the headache. So understand that concept as well. So your device is called the Vibe device, right? And
that's the flagship product we launched called Vibe, VIBES.
Okay. And how does that device work?
It's actually what it is. It's an MP3 player.
Okay.
It's a music player. All the protocols are actual songs. They're MP3s. It's an MP3 player without a speaker.
Okay.
So it's coils instead of a speaker. If you took coils out of here and put a speaker on there and listened to it, it would go, you'd hear the frequencies, which is still therapeutic. You could do it that way, but it's annoying for most people. But you just, the 60 protocols on there, you just alphabetical order, you click the one you want, put it in your pocket or wear it with a lanyard around your neck. That's it. That's how you use it. Protocols are average 40 minutes long. Shortest is 30 minutes. Longest PTSD, like 2.5 hours. But one thing about the technical part, because I like to explain it this way, should have even started at a higher level, is nothing in the world happens without energy exchange. Okay, now everyone can understand that. It's like you don't get sunburned, you don't eat food, you don't drive your car, you don't fall down, break your leg. All of it's an energy exchange. You don't roast hot dogs on a campfire. Okay. Right. So energy, good energy can be put on into your body with magnetic fields, electrical current. A lot of people are used to TENS units, light, vibration, or sound. It can be any of those. And people are familiar with sound bowls and chanting and those type of things are all sound that are putting energy into the body. So that's it at the highest level. You don't get sunburn without energy, right? Going to your skin. So it's an energy exchange. It's putting good energy in the body to do what I said earlier, ATP, and change the voltage on the cells. Okay. But it can be delivered any way you want it to. And we have other devices. I picked PEMF because it's the easiest one for on the go. I don't have any wires on me. I don't have to be sitting in front of a light. I don't have to sit in a chair that vibrates. I don't have to have my feet on this grounding mat, right? So it's the one that you just put in your pocket and go and you forget you have it. So that's why I picked that mode to start with, is magnetic fields, for that reason. It's the simplest way to get the energy in the body.
Okay. So somebody could actually just, it's 40 minutes. They could be walking around the house or in their office or anything, and it's non-intrusive. It's just going on around them.
I got one in my pocket right now.
Okay.
So I'm running one right now. I forget it's there until I go to grab my cell phone and I pull it out and it's not my cell phone, right? It's this instead. Yes. Walking, watching TV, cooking, sitting at your computer, anything. So that's the big advantage to this portable type device. Because if you go man on the street, you go, hey, do you know what PEMF is? Used to be 1 out of 20. Now it's about 1 out of 15 people will know what it actually is.
Okay.
Right? Because they know what a beamer mat is or something where they went to a spa or a chiropractor, and they're different and they work. They're great. Problem is they're very expensive and you can't move them. You got to sit there and lay still. You can't drive your car. You can't take it on an airplane. It costs way less. These portable ones. So yeah, so that's that's kind of the main difference. And people have heard of it. Now, what's interesting in the PEMF world, 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20 people have heard of it. Every single horse owner knows what it is. All of them.
Interesting.
Because they know what a magnet wave is, and they had their horse treated, or somebody at the stable had the horse treated with this $15,000 machine. It looks like a beer keg with big induction rings and they treat their horse with them, which is another rabbit hole there. It works, but in my opinion, it's overkill. You don't need to contract the muscles on a horse. People, and we get this every day, people are like mistakenly, it's 1,000-pound animal. Ain't going to do nothing. Yeah. I got a lot of vets with 50-year-old cowgirls. I'm like, I guarantee it will. Your initial reaction is it can't possibly work. But actually, horses are more energy sensitive in general than people are.
Interesting.
So, and they have the same, people go, which protocol do I run for my dogs or my horses? They're all the same. I mean, we're all the same. We have the same issues, right? Animals have PTSD. Animals have arthritis. Animals have general inflammation being ridden, right? They have wound healing. They have asthma, allergies, same stuff we do.
Yeah,
so
that's incredible. So you mentioned that you've seen a lot of great work with this device with PTSD. How did you connect the dots on that being a use case for this device?
I just saw all the case studies that were out there, how much of the expensive machines and how high the success. There's a few of them that are super high. Success rate, PTSD, fibromyalgia, anxiety, blood sugar. We've done several studies on that, or we're continuing to do those. So there's a handful of them, but all my marketing friends, and I'm a marketer too, are focused. Just pick one thing because I can't do all 60. I'm like, yeah, but that's why people are buying it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nobody listening right now that has more than one problem. Right. There's nobody. Everyone's got two or three. Everyone has the most common ailment for people and pets in the entire world in every country is anxiety. Mm-hmm. And there's not a living thing that hasn't, including plants, that haven't had anxiety, right? There's some trauma or something going on sometime in your life. So it's, yes. So the book I'm writing right now is called Go Find Joy. It'll be out in about 6 weeks, and it's all around making my marketing guys happy. So I'm concentrating on one thing called anxiety, and I'm just doing the whole book on anxiety and the protocols that we have for that. So,
okay. So just asking the question then, so is the target really for the Vibe? Is it specifically anybody with anxiety would benefit from this tool?
Hopefully, but it's never going to be 100%. So the problem I've had since the get-go. Who's the market? Who's the target? What are you after? Well, it's all ages. Teenage girls have anxiety. Old 112-year-old people have dementia, arthritis, right? So it can be everybody. It's not going to be 100%. The success rate is extremely high, though. And that's the argument I get all the time of which should I be targeting, right? And so it's from a marketing point of view, it's trial and error to see what works. And we're at the mercy of, on Facebook, you're at the mercy of Zuckerberg. If he turns the algorithm or turns a knob, then suddenly you can't sell any there, right? And actually the marketing the marketing actually costs a lot more than the product.
Does it? Okay.
To sell.
Yeah.
Ridiculously more.
Trying to break through that lid of awareness and acquisition of people to kind of go, oh, that's something I want to try. And I can see that.
Right.
A lot of that I'm sure comes from success stories and so forth. So I'm thinking like, if I have this device on, first of all, what am I going to experience, or how will I know if it's working? And then are there some success stories that you've had of people who have had dramatic impact from this PEMF device?
Yeah. I mean, we have thousands of success stories. Success stories. Can't even say it. Okay. What we tell people is to use it 3 to 4 times a week for 30 days. If it hasn't made a change by then, either it's not going to work for you or you have the wrong protocol. Okay. Now there's 2 ways to measure that, right? There's subjective and objective. The subjective way is the gold standard still today, even though in 2025, if you go into a doctor's office to measure pain, it's going to be an analog visual scale on the wall from 0 to 10.
Right.
0, you're happy. 10, you're crying. So I came in with an 8 and I left with a 2. You're self-reporting, right? Subjectively what it is. So we ask people to do that is keep track of that. One of the best litmus tests forever, whether it's working, is ask your spouse and your kids and your friends. Are you being an asshole? Are you acting different? Seriously, why did you invite me to the picnic? You didn't invite me last year because you're being nicer now. I mean, so you're going to get that kind of feedback. The warning is people forget how bad they felt 30 days ago. It doesn't matter what the intervention is. I have a friend I've known since kindergarten who's a chiropractor here in town. He's like, Mark, I videotape every new patient. They come in on a walker. Next time they come in a cane. The next time they're holding a lap dog. And they'll go, well, I could always do this. No, you couldn't. You couldn't even walk 30 days ago. So we tell people, keep journals like that. Keep track of it, right? And do you feel better? And litmus test, ask friends. The other one is the more objective data, which is all the wearables that we have now. We're coming out with our own wearable watch in about 6 weeks. Heart rate variability. If you're looking for things to measure on your wearables, whether it's working, heart rate variability is number one. You want to actually go up. Okay. Most people think your pulse comes down is good. Your heart rate variability going up means your body's in balance for fight or flight. Consistent. It can do all the things it needs to do. Sleep is huge, right? The devices that we're going to have, they have blood sugar on them. They have blood pressure on them. So we have about 12 different biomarkers, and an Apple Watch or a Fitbit and a lot of those devices or a Rings and stuff have those same things. Not as good as the one we're going to have. But anyway, so it's like, well, because we're going to do some really cool stuff with it. So we're going to actually put it in the cloud, use AI so we can do personal analysis and give it back to each individual, all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah, so the objective data is the wearable stuff. Okay. Ones that are easy are blood sugar, the type 2, can't say the D word, get in trouble. Okay. But blood sugar, everyone's pricking their finger. They got that, or they got a constant monitor on them so they can see what's happening. And that is very interesting because how I get most of my new wholesalers from doctors is this is a scenario that happens a lot. Person goes to the doctor and goes, got their A1C, the blood sugar results in. The doctor goes, hey, your A1C is 5.4. It's never been below 8. You're finally doing what I told you to do, change your diet. And they're like, no, I started using this. They go, what the hell is it? And they grab it out of their hand. They call me. So we actually get more and more doctors wholesaling now from that.
Okay.
Lots and lots of success stories with, and you gotta be careful because they start crying. I'll back up from it. Here's what I've told a year and 15 months ago was me and the fish. Now I got 13 people on the team. Okay. So everyone that's come on the team, like, this is going to be the most satisfying job probably you've ever had, but it comes with some emotional baggage. And this is not housewives of Orange County. This is real people that have had torture, trauma, divorce, death in the family, cancer, bad things that have happened to them, right? And they're real people. So we get people that are suicidal, right? You know, so when somebody has a gun in their mouth and they tell you, I don't want to kill myself anymore. There's all kinds of stories like that are, we just got 3 people in the last 10 days that told me their AFib, right? Their measurement would drop from like 98% to 2. Wow. Didn't even know it could do any of that. So we're launching a study right now with a cardiologist on AFib to see what these things can do for that. Like I said, there's thousands of stories. I'll leave it with the one that's, if this doesn't raise a hair on your arms, you're not human. Okay. A 17-year-old girl said, Mark, I'll never have a date in my life because I have Tourette's. I'm a monster. Everyone hates me in school. The boys all pick on me. I get bullied all the time. She goes, I ran the brain balancing protocol on here. My Tourette's disappeared and I have a date Saturday night.
Come on. That's crazy.
It was 2 years ago and then she married the guy.
Unbelievable.
Nah, I didn't tell her to do that. I don't know how it got rid of her Tourette's. Just she ran brain balancing, which is actually originally a concussion protocol, but it does what we found out in the clinical environment. It was originally developed for concussion, but a lot of the doctors just run that in the end to help do stuff, whatever that stuff is, right? And it made her Tourette's go away.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, and that's the only thing she did was she just started around the brain protocol on your device.
And we get this a lot. Again, I got to say, I am not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm a rocket scientist, right? So you got to be careful because we get hundreds of emails like, does this help with RSJS? And you're like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And you got to go Google it with a cold drink and you look at it and you can't unsee the pictures. And you're like, okay. In general, we have 60 protocols and another 70 expansion protocols. There's a lot of protocols. A lot of times they still get something we don't know what to do. So you just kind of use some logic, like 80% of all ailments are caused by inflammation of whatever. So just run general inflammation. If it's nerve related, run fibromyalgia. If it's toxicity, run the liver protocol, right? So there's a lady called me one time and says, hey, the doctors don't know what it is. Every couple of weeks, I get this itch on my arms where I just scratch till I bleed and then it goes away. They don't know what it is. I said, well, run I have no idea. Run general inflammation and run allergy and see if it helps. And it went away. Right. So there's lots of stories like that. Now, again, it's not 100%. I'll just tell everyone for full vulnerability and disclosure, the lowest protocol success we have is probably prostate. It's about 65%. And every 75-year-old guy, when it doesn't work for him, calls my cell phone and starts screaming at me.
Yeah.
They're super, super angry that it didn't work. I'm like, told you up front.
Right.
65% or something. Weight loss is another one. Weight loss is not, it's only if your weight is due to insulin resistance, then the weight loss protocol will work. If your weight gain,
it's just because you're not disciplined. You're eating ice cream all night.
Else, then it's, yeah, if it's just, for whatever reason, if it isn't that, then it can't help with that piece of it. But
yeah, if you're eating Doritos and eating ice cream every night, it's probably not going to help with that, right?
Well, here's how it will help. Okay. It's interesting you just said that. You run the addiction protocol, which is going to be 417 hertz and probably 528 hertz of sulfur frequencies. We got I'm glad you brought that up. Lots of stories with alcoholics, food addicts. That's exactly what you said. Chips and ice cream or sugar. I have a very good friend. This is huge. I was just talking to him. So he got diagnosed with leukemia 3 years ago. Okay. And his downfall for addiction is sugar.
Okay.
And he's trying to give up sugar. So he's been running the addiction protocol and he doesn't have the cravings anymore. So that's helping him a ton with that. So yeah, you can do the addiction one. If it, like I said, there's core protocol or one of the protocols on there for most everything. But if there isn't, for example, we had two examples I'll give you. One is when last summer I had 3 different doctors in the same week. It was weird. Call me and go, hey, this is kicking butt for MS. It's like, I don't have an MS protocol. What are you using? Fibromyalgia? They all went, yep. So they made that bridge in their own to go, it's kind of like that. Maybe it'll help, right? And a lot of times it does. Lyme disease, I'll tell you, James, last year, I'm like, I have so many emails. Like, what do you have for Lyme? Nothing. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about it. So then finally I get frustrated. I couldn't help this many people. So I went and researched. And I found one study with 1 to 4 hertz, which is going to be brainwave delta range, kills the bacteria. The guy told me, he goes, as an MD, be careful because it's going to have a Hertzheimer reaction where that little bastard bacteria will spit poison when you kill it. It's a clever bacteria. It just, first of all, it disguises itself as a lot of other conditions.
Yeah.
That's why you get misdiagnosed forever with Lyme.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. So we ran a study. I mean, I had a Facebook group. I felt horrible looking at all these people because they're in, some of them paying for 20 years and nobody can help them. Right. The good news, bad news is we did this Lyme study. Good news is it worked. The bad news is it made every single person sick because of the Hertzheimer reaction. So it's like, okay, so back the power off on this. Instead of 10, let's go with 5. So you're killing it a little bit slower. Then run the liver protocol, the clean toxicity, get the poison out of you. Then run the vagus nerve just to rebalance your body, and then wash and repeat. That's what we're doing right now, which seems to be working for a lot of people. Now, we don't have the end results yet that people are completely out of it, but they're responding to it way better and they're being able to amp themselves back up to 10 after a couple of weeks. So it's all ongoing stuff that it's trial and error, just like all the protocols were originally. They all came from 8,000 practitioners originally over 35 years playing with it. So they're actually frequency pairs. So the analogy is if you just think of a chord on a guitar, 2-string chord, that's the frequency pair. The protocol is a song.
Okay.
And just like artists jamming in a garage, we're constantly rewriting the songs. Some of them you don't change because they're your hits, right? Here's our hit song. That one's working. Don't mess with it. Lyme, we got to go make a new song for Lyme, right? And we're doing that right now with a bunch of things with vagus nerve and other stuff.
So, Mark, I'm really interested because as an entrepreneur, I mean, you've said multiple times, I'm not a doctor, I'm not, but basically you just found a need in the market. You went and did the research. So the research was already out there on these frequencies and so forth, because you keep talking about like the brain protocol or the vagus protocol and so forth. Those frequencies were already available. You just took that information and compiled it into a device that actually people could choose each one of those. You're not coming up with anything new or extraordinary as far as the research is already out there.
For the most part, that's true. So the protocols are not frequencies, they're frequency pairs that change every 1 to 4 minutes. Like I said, it's a song.
Yeah.
I am playing with some stuff, making like Lime and having to make up our own combinations of recipes and stuff, right? Recipes are songs you can use either analogy, right? Where it comes, here's what happened. So in the 1920s, 30s, whatever. So Rockefeller and Carnegie screwed it up. So back then, everyone was doing pharmaceuticals, they're doing surgery, and we're doing electrical stimulation. They're doing all kinds of magnetic field, electrical stuff. Tesla started it, right, in the medical world. And what happened was Rockefeller owned all the oil. Right? He owned Standard Oil, and he figured out, hey, I can make drugs out of oil. So, and at the same time, between him and Carnegie, they own the medical landscape. So they're like, okay, so if it's not surgery or drugs, we're not going to fund the universities, and we're going to pull your medical license if you do anything but those two. So only in the United States did all this electrical magnetic stimulation therapy get trashed. So literally this came from a chiropractor that in 1990 bought a practice, and there's an old machine in the back room with a tarp on it, and it had some knobs and a card that said 40 hertz inflammation, 117 this, 256 vitality, whatever. And it's like, what the hell does that mean? So she just started playing with it and turning knobs and trying stuff. Since then, 8,000 people, including me, in the last 35 years have been trained on, and it's not cast in concrete. Like I just said, we're constantly learning new stuff. Go try this or don't do that because that frequency didn't work or had something that had a bad combination or effect with people. So that's where it comes from. The rest of the world kept doing it, electrical stimulation. So we're way behind, the US is, in this field. But that's what happened was Carnegie and Rockefeller. They own the world already, and they had to take more of it. Okay?
It's really fascinating because I think about right now in just like the health and wellness space, there's such a big market on things like cold plunging and red light therapy and all these places dealing with mitochondria and cell health and metabolic disease and so forth. And this feels like that's like what you have is in that same space, but very powerful, like a tool that really complements somebody who's just, even if, like for myself, I feel like I'm pretty healthy. I take care of myself. I exercise and so forth. But even for myself, who's just trying to extend health, extend well-being, a tool like this, even though I may not need the brain protocol or so forth, would be beneficial to me.
Everyone probably needs the brain protocol once in a while because it helps with a whole bunch of stuff. But it's funny because you said cold plunge. So, and we have another product came out 2 months ago. It's a vagus nerve stimulator. It's a pendant that you just wear around your neck because the vagus nerve goes from your brain, both sides of your neck. It clusters around your heart and goes to all your organs. If you get that tuned right, it fixes a whole bunch of different things. The other vagus nerve stimulators, originally, you had to do surgery, stick it in your brain or in your spine. Okay. Very invasive. Okay. Some of the products out there today are electrical 15 volts that you put on your neck with a coupling agent. Okay. The other way is to dive into freezing up water. So one of our marketing ads that we're running right now is finally a vagus nerve stimulator that you don't have to shock, buzz, or freeze yourself. Okay? You just wear it as a piece of jewelry. So,
and that's on the market right now?
This is on the market, yes. It's called VegaVibe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the market. It looks, by the way, somebody made me point this out. This only weighs 2.4 ounces. Okay. This looks like it's heavy because it's pendant. This is 1.2 ounces.
Right.
This is lighter than a toothbrush.
Okay.
Not an electric toothbrush, the old kind of toothbrush. So it's super, super light in your neck. But the reason I did that is the reason people do it on their neck is because that's where the vagus nerve is closest to the skin, but it clusters around your heart and the magnetic field is deep enough that it gets to the heart. And if people don't know what the vagus nerve is, it is the super highway between your brain, your organs. They talk back and forth. And if you get that correct, and most people in the world of stress, right? The book I'm writing right now, you're in your car, you got the gas pedal floored and you got the brake at the same time, right? Because you're not on cruise control. You're constantly fighting yourself. So getting your vagus nerve tone. And the doctor that ran this study on this last month, so the heart rate variability, which is the best measurement for vagus nerve toning. So 1 hour session, on average, it went up 35%. So I told the doctor, I was like, well, it's a little disappointing. I would hope it increased like 100%. He leans in, he goes, Mark, there's athletes that would pay $1 million to get their heart rate variability up 5%.
Wow.
So the fact it went up 35 is huge and it's statistically significant. So we have that study published now. not published. We have that study out on the website. We're trying to get it published like in medical journals and that kind of thing. But that's pretty exciting because that was one session, right? For an hour. We don't even have the data yet for what happens if you use it 3 to 4 times a week for a couple of months.
That's incredible. Man, this is really fascinating. I'm excited about your wearable that's coming out. I don't know if it's a watch or just a wearable like Whoop, but that's such a big industry right now for people just to be able to, I'm a cyclist. And so I actually wear 2 different, I wear a Garmin for my cycling, I wear a Whoop for my sleep, and always trying to pay attention to my heart rate variable, to my VO2 max, all those pieces. I think any continued advances on those pieces are always good for just human health and flourishing and well-being. So you say that's coming out in about a month or so?
Probably 2 months. We're working on it right now. We're building the app for it. And so the product's 95% designed and working. And we're building off another foundation that was already kind of built. But what we're doing different is, and what isn't easily available is if a customer chooses to, again, with privacy and all, if they choose to de-identify the data and put it into the cloud, we can now, we can do AI analysis and do a bunch of things for them. What's frustrating right now with, I'm going to pick on names because they're all good, Fitbit and stuff, and is I don't have data after a week. Mm-hmm. Where's the year's worth of data? It's not easily accessible and it's not enough memory on there to get it off, right?
Right.
And heart rate variability on most of the devices is hidden in some kind of stress calculation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not pure heart rate variability. And then you got to know which heart rate variability you're measuring, SDNN or RMSSD, or the 2 different, more than 2, but those are the 2 primary ones. That will be cool because we're putting heart rate variability in there as an individual call out. So what I'm hoping to sell is a bundle there. I'm going to sell the Vibe, right? And it's going to be called a Cardio watch. So this is the input to fix you. This is to measure it. And then we're going to have free coaching sessions with wellness coaches twice a week. Everyone can just come online and ask more questions about it and that type of thing. So as a bundle, I think that'll be more helpful than just selling the device by itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've tested a lot of different ones. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Well, if you ever need somebody to beta test it, let me know. I'll
compare
it to all my other watches I'm wearing and see how the data shows up. Can people purchase the Vibe and these devices straight from your website?
Yes, yeah. So Resona, it's short for Resonance, RESONA, Resona.health. There's no .com. It's a .health company.
Okay.
So RESONA.health. We have the Vibes and the 2 packs on sale. And I mentioned it's for people and pets. So we have, dogs, separation anxiety, arthritis, allergies, hip dysplasia, all that stuff. And we have it for horses too. So we have a lot of accessories on there for dog harnesses and a vagus nerve holder for horses stuff. So they'll see all that on the website and a lot of others.
Mark, thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to put all the links to your website and the link to the ebook and so forth in there as well. And so people can connect with you and find out more information. But this has really been educational and a lot of fun. So thanks again.
All right, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So it's not every day that we get to hear from someone who's engineered space shuttle systems and also built healing systems. And that's exactly what made this conversation so powerful. I deeply appreciate Mark Fox being on the show to share his insights, his story in unconventional ways he's helping people and pets heal through energy-based solutions like PEMF therapy. If this conversation stirred your curiosity, I encourage you to learn more about Mark's work in his company at Resona.health. And don't forget to check out his ebook, What on Earth Are We Doing to Our Health? And if you're ready for a leadership reset of your own, whether you're burnout, overwhelmed, or just need a moment to breathe and realign, take 5 days and walk through the leadership reset. It's free, it's powerful, and it's waiting for you at liveleadlast.com/reset. Also, make sure you're subscribed to Rooted, our weekly email designed to help leaders grow from the inside out. Just text the word GROW to 66866 to sign up. You can also connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. I always love hearing what resonates most from these conversations. And finally, if today's episode brought you value, would you take some time to rate, review, and share it with someone in your circle? That's how the message grows and how more leaders get rooted, reset, and reconnected to what matters most. Until next time, live with clarity, lead with integrity, and never stop becoming the kind of leader the future needs.